What's going on, everybody? This is Roaming Prepper, and thank you for joining me again. So this will be yet another part of the series, The Domino Effect, where I go case by case through the different aspects of our global and American and Canadian situations to discuss how these pieces can ultimately lead to a very serious decline, if not a collapse, of Western society, but also lessons we can learn. Now, whether these things actually come to pass, whether society collapses or it just sucks for a while, we don't know. But by breaking them into manageable pieces and analyzing each segment, my hope is all of you will be more informed, you'll better understand how things come together, and more importantly, will make the best decision for your situation to be prepared in the event of supply chain disruptions and other such things. So I'll be right back, and we will do yet another part of the Domino Effect series. Hang on just a second. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining me for the next episode or next chapter, if you will, of the Domino Effect. Now, again, as I said in my intro, what I'm trying to do is give people, break apart the various facets of what we're looking at, what we're going on. In earlier episodes, I discussed inflationary effect, monetary policy, energy policy. In this particular case, what I'm going to talk about is immigration policy and how that's affecting us, both in a good way and a bad way, because we're not getting the whole set of information from either side, because I think both of them are full of crap. But so let's start with the typical statement, which is that one side says we're a nation of immigrants and we should be accepting. The other side says, well, hell's bells, we are being overrun, right? So, and I got several parts of information. So this is a current policy population chart from the immigrant report here at CIS, which is the Center for Immigration Studies, CIS.org. You can look for it yourself. Immigrant population in the U.S. by month from January 2010 to November of 2021. And they're defining immigrants as people who are born overseas, who are both here legally and illegally. And as you can see, so we're about 350 million, 325 million. You know, I didn't look that up, so you have to give me a grain of salt there. But here is from, so let me bring this up so we can have a discussion about that. So this is the immigrant population from that chart, and I want to show it to you so somebody doesn't come and comment and say this is fake news, because you're all full. That would be full of shit. This is from 2010. This ends at 2021. You see here, right? You see over those decades there was a steady increase. Then here, what? Nope, hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm looking at it right. So here, there was what they're calling the Trump border surge and the Biden border surge. Now, there was a border surge here under Trump's administration, and that was when DACA was about to get removed. Then there was some serious enforcement, plus then COVID hit, and this is COVID right there. And hold on, I'm going to change pens so I don't screw everyone up here. Then the immigration was very low. Now this here says Biden wins. And you notice when Biden wins, there it goes up again. Now this ends in 2021. This actually goes much, much higher if you had a more current map, which I was not able to get in a graphic form. I saw a table. But in any case, it gives you an idea of what it is that's going on in the country. Now, just for reference, that is roughly 40 million people. So you do the math, 40 million, or yeah, 30 to 40 million out of 300 million. That's about 11% of the population, give or take. I'm rounding off in my head, guys, so if it's like 12.25 and you're going to complain in the comments, don't do that. I'm spitballing it. 300 million, roughly a little over 30 million, and we have over 300 million people, 10%-ish. Now, again, this includes both legal and illegal immigrants, according to the Center for Immigrant Studies. Now, why is that important? Well, the United States is a nation of immigrants, right? From the founding fathers to everyone, unless you were from a Native American tribe, chances are you are in an immigrant family. And there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, that's a good thing. With it come ideas. With it comes new work ethics. For the most part, the immigration has come from Latin America or Europe or Asia, but these populations bring with them family values. They bring with them different foods, different cultures, different fashions. So the country is robust because of this. Also, a lot of nations that are more monochromatic, if you will. I'm not being racist and saying monochromatic like black or white, but like there's just one culture, like Japan or certain nations in Europe that don't allow as much immigration. Their populations are actually declining. Japan has a very serious problem right now because literally in another 50 years, there might not be any Japanese left because they're not having enough babies to replace the population. China's now starting to see that because of Chairman Mao's philosophy back in the Cold War. We will have lots of males because he was thinking we're going to have to go to war and the Americans are going to nuke us and they're going to kill, 300 million Chinese. So we're going to have 3 billion Chinese and we'll have plenty of soldiers. But they favored boys over girls. And so up until recently, and it's still a problem, the ratio of males to females in China is like 1 in 3, 1 in 4. So, or 4 males to 1 female. I said that backwards. But anyway, obviously not an optimal situation for that country either. But you guys kind of get it. All of these countries are struggling. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, these immigrants are coming from Mexico. Actually, not really. And I found this one. Hold on a second. Let me get your... So this was a population survey, again, from the Center of Immigration Studies. And take them with a grain of salt, because they tend to be a little bit governmenty. But the numbers seem to jive. So these are illegal. Hold on. Public use files from January 2016 to 2022. They try to estimate the illegal population because they really don't know. So this blue line up on top, and again, this is from CIS. Let me get that pen working here so we can, oh, there it is. So we can do some sketching here. This line up here, oh, come on now. Hey, play nice. This line up, God bless it. So apparently we will not play nice. Instead, we will do dumb things. Okay, let's try that again. So this line up here is the total immigrant population. But this one is the Hispanic illegal immigrant estimate. I want you to take a second to stare at that. So I'm going to write it down with my lefty handwriting. So that make more sense? Hispanics, total. So basically, that number goes from 22.7 million to 11 million. Now, granted, that's 10 million from other places, which means roughly, so you notice how they skew this data, the way they present it, right? So this is 22 million, and actually, no, I'm sorry, these are not aggregate. I thought they were added together. No, they're not. So remember, we had that number before, about 30 million immigrants or so on. So basically, oh, I'm sorry, this is the current so these are non-citizens. Sorry, I misstated that. So this is non-citizens, which may include green card holders and may include work visas. But these are the Hispanics. So Hispanics are 13, but other nations are actually an additional 22 million. So that kind of jives with that 30 million number from the other slide. And again, they kind of they kind of present the slides on a weird scale, because you look at that, and that makes it look like, wow, look at that big gap. But in reality, these are not added together. This is not part of this guy. They make this look really low. This is still 13 freaking million. So again, do your own homework. But what I'm saying is, only roughly, according to this, only 1/3 of immigrants coming into the country are actually from Hispanic or Latino heritage, Spanish-speaking countries. Which means the other 20-something million are coming from somewhere else. And that is something a lot of people don't really appreciate. So how does this factor in? So I've already said immigration is not a bad thing because our country was built on it, right? Some of our best inventors came in from other countries. As a matter of fact, some of our greatest achievers were even slaves that were brought into this country. Bentley's very angry at something over there. And, when they were freed, were able to, contribute to society as free individuals to the larger populace. So immigration, not a bad thing. Now, the problem is we have uncontrolled immigration. There was once upon a time where everyone from Europe went to Ellis Island. Everyone from Asia would go to, I believe it was San Francisco, hence the name Golden Gate Bridge, and Ellis Island, which was near the Statue of Liberty. Remember, those are two separate islands, by the way. If you ever go tour New York City, you'll miss Ellis Island if you only go to the Statue of Liberty, just saying. But anyway, we had designated places people were supposed to go. Now, it's changed with technology and society as a whole, but people came in, they had to sign a book, they were put in quarantine, they got their immunizations, and then they were released into the community to do what they did. Some were good. They contribute a lot. Enrico Fermi, Tesla, some of these guys who came in, not Tesla, I forgot his name, damn it, came in and did a lot of good. They contributed to society. Some of them, like the Capone family, became mafia types, right? So you're going to get that mix. You can't help that. But bottom line is, these people came in a semi-controlled manner. There seems to be a lot of problems here. And here's why is... This is a chart from the BBC, British Broadcasting. And again, I'm trying to diversify where I get my information from so we're not all seeing the same thing. So this is immigration from 2018 all the way to 2021, right? Now, you notice from 2018 there was a spike here, and I believe that was they call the Trump surge, the Trump era surge. I think that's when DACA was being canceled, and so they were trying to get in before the law change, right? Then there was serious enforcement, and that continued. And then there was also COVID was a major contributor there, right? They implemented Title 42 on top of Title 8. Then, right there is where Biden won. You can see right here, Trump Biden, and all of a sudden, thump. And this is 2021. It's higher still now. So you guys kind of see what this is doing. So there are a couple of problems here. One is that we have a lot of new people in the country who may or may not be working. They're not being registered, so we don't know who all of them are. And by the way, that was 200,000. Number of migrants intercepted at the border has been steadily rising since April of 2020. But since President Biden took charge in January, there has been a sharp increase. In May, the latest month with published data, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, this is according to this article, recorded its highest monthly total in more than 20 years of just over 180,000 migrants, mostly single adults. And I will bet you anything, you notice how they phrase it, single adults? I'll bet you it's mostly single men. And that is what concerns me. We don't have families coming in. We don't have piles of, little children. Okay, they keep saying there's a child's camp here and a child's camp there. They're defining anyone under 18 as children. Well, we all know that 17-year-olds could serve in the military, so can 18-year-olds, right? So a lot of these people there's putting in these child camps are actually young adults. there's certainly military-aged individuals. Now, with that come a lot of small kids, abused kids, trafficking, etc. I get that. But this is a concern. So you're doing a couple of things here. One, you're introducing a lot of new people into the community in an uncontrolled manner, which means you're going to get crime. That's going to cost society money. It's going to cost lives. It's going to cost loss of material. Equipment is going to get stolen. There are energy companies out here, solar and oil and gas, that literally are having entire crane trucks stolen and driven over the border, or they're finding them stripped out in the country and all the parts are gone. Okay, there's a lot of that. We're also seeing a lot of break-ins in houses. These individuals who don't have a home because they're not being processed in any coherent manner, they're sneaking in, and what they're doing is they're taking what they need as they go, because they don't come here with money, right? So this is a problem. It's causing stress in law enforcement. It's causing damage to the community. There's damage to businesses. There's theft. There's rapes and murders, right? And I'm not blaming all the immigrants for this. I want to make that clear. But there's an element. Now, you think if you have 180,000 individuals hit the border this month, and 1% of them are felons, rapists, that's 1,800 individuals. That's nearly 2,000 people who are felons that just are now walking our streets and we don't even know about them. It's not like we've arrested them before. They snuck in, right? So here in Texas, we're seeing a lot of Amber Alerts. I posted a picture the other day of a young woman disappeared from her frickin' apartment. She got dropped off after date night with her friends. We don't know if the boyfriend did it or if someone else did it, but she was disappeared. Nobody knows where she is. The general consensus in my own circles is that she was taken. She's probably in a brothel somewhere. And if she tried to fight back, they probably loaded her up with some kind of drug to make her basically a sex zombie. This is going on. This is a real thing. And so having these individuals coming in an uncontrolled manner, also the immigrant families are suffering, right? Because they're being victimized after they're getting here. A lot of the people who are not bad people, they're not criminals, in order to pay their debt for whatever cartel or organization that brought them here, are being forced to do housekeeping. They're being forced to work in farms. They're being forced to do labor. They're being forced to be prostitutes. So we're not only having American citizens and legal individuals being victimized by this criminal element, but we also are having the actual migrants are being victimized by that criminal element, and it's coming in such a manner that Border Patrol and law enforcement can't get a handle on it. This is a problem. And people will argue with me that, no, this is bullshit. I've had someone who's never been to Texas, never been to the border, tell me, no, it's all easy. It's good there. There's no trafficking. And I literally sent him a picture that I took of illegal immigrants that were lost in the desert. They were actually trying to turn themselves in, got lost in the desert. And they were not in good shape. They were dehydrated. They were going to die. And a coworker saw them and they called it in, and then law enforcement, people were trying to help them. And I mean, they got processed. They weren't evil people. These were just lost folks, but they almost died in the freaking desert out, in the Badlands out here. And he couldn't compute it. He couldn't compute that this is a humanitarian issue, both for the migrants and for the citizens here, and that it's overrunning and overburdening our economy and our law enforcement and our infrastructure. But what scares me even more, and I'm probably going to get shadow banned for this one, let's just say half of 1% of that 180,000 or the 200,000, right? So you do the math. 200,000 divided by 100%, right? 1% of 200,000 is 2,000, unless I'm doing my math wrong. What if half of that are foreign operatives? If I was going to pick a fight and steal an island and pick a fight with a bunch of allies like Japan and Philippines and Taiwan, I would be very happy to put 1,000, 500, hell, 50 trained individuals. You drop them in South America so they learn the culture, they learn the language, and they can blend in with all the other immigrants. And they're they come here. People think that's not going to happen, that could not happen. It absolutely can happen. And so this is an ongoing issue, and this is yet another effect that's going to crater or cause harm to this country, to the government, and to the infrastructure. More importantly, there's talk in California and other communist states, and that's what they are. They're not left-leaning, they're freaking communists, that they want to give the right to vote to people who have just arrived, have gone through no immigration, they've gone through no citizenship protocol, but they want to vote. What a great way to change the demographic of your nation than to introduce 30 million people, 10%. What has been the delta between different candidates in all sorts of elections over the last 10, 15 years? 5%, 10%. Every now and then one candidate blows the other one out by 30, 40%. Usually it's a lot tighter. Well, you introduce 10% of a voting populace that shouldn't be here, who votes the way you tell them to vote, and you change the country. And in changing the country, they're going to start removing rights. And a lot of these new immigrants are coming from countries where they didn't have rights to begin with. So they don't know any better, and they don't realize what they're losing. Now, a lot of them do. And some of the new immigrants have been very vocal that I came here so I wouldn't be with Chavez, or I wouldn't be with Castro, or I wouldn't be with the communist government, or I wouldn't be thrown in jail for telling somebody this, you know. They get it. And I find it interesting that a lot of the new YouTubers, Instagrammers, and TikTokers that I'm running into are actually immigrants, new immigrants that are absolutely vocal about what we're doing. They're like, this is what my country did. This is why I came here. And you're going to break your own country. You're going to ruin the country. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, folks, but this is yet another domino, inflating our nation with immigrants with no control, and introducing criminal elements, introducing more mouths to feed, but we're not taking them in the right way. So we're not processing them in so that they can find meaningful work. They cannot find meaningful employment because they're not supposed to be here. They did not come in the right way. And no, so they're suffering, and they're going to resort to crime to get what they want. So folks, this is a really complicated and very sensitive subject. I'm sure a lot of people are sitting here going, no, that's not true, or they may be pissed because I'm pointing this out. But it's not good for the U.S. citizens, for our legal immigrants, our green card holders, our visa workers who have come here the right way. And honestly, most of these immigrants are being victimized here, or on the way here and here, and we're not doing anything about it. This is harming so many people, and is costing so much money, and reducing our ability to enforce law and be a productive nation. We need to get them in here the right way, and there's no reason we can't, other than leaders are choosing not to because it's a voting conversation. And I blame both parties for this bullshit. But in any case, folks, this is just a reality. I'd love to see more people come in the right way so that they can enjoy the nation we have and be productive. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of incompetence. And I will say this in closing: when our president says, well, everything's under control, but it will be very chaotic, everything's under control, but it will be very chaotic on the border for the next year until an election, that concerns me. Because either A, it's being done on purpose, or B, it's incompetence. And neither's good. So folks, just to walk away, the next of the dominoes to talk about, the immigration problem. Folks, thank you for joining me. Again, I hope I didn't offend anyone. I'm trying to be even-handed in my presentation because there are people suffering on both sides of this situation. And we need to be compassionate, but we need to be vigilant. And I hope you guys can take that away and maybe do something good. And what do? Help our fellow man, but pay attention to what's around us, because these new individuals, most are probably good people who just want a home safe where they can raise their families. But we also have to factor in that there's a percentage that may change the crime aspect of our areas, and we need to pay attention to what they're doing and how things are changing. You guys be safe, Godspeed, and I will see you on the next video.